This is Chris from Winterfylleth. You're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
And you're listening to Chris and the Brutally Delicious podcast.
You just jumped ahead of me. You didn't even let me say who I was.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
In case you didn't know, I am Bruce, a.k.a. Jason Momoa lookalike. And today, we've got Winterfylleth, and I hope I'm not butchering that.
Is it Phyllis or just filth?
I don't know. We're going to have to ask when we get on the line. But I know I've heard these guys in the past. It's really good metal, really good black metal.
It's punishing.
And these guys hail from over in the UK, which is kind of funny if you didn't put together why Chris was being foolish with his intro there.
Next time we interview someone from the south of the United States, we're gonna
have a twang.
I'll talk like a little. I'll add a little twang to my voice.
You were doing that with the lady from with Tanya there, and I don't have any idea what you were doing. You thought you were having a seizure or something, I think.
Or I can just go talk like a Canadian, eh?
Eh? Anyway, today we're speaking with Chris Naughton. I believe he's the guitarist. And want to hang on? We'll get him on the line.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. If we go get two people on the line within 2 tries, we're great.
It'll be a fucking record.
Hello?
Chris!
Oh, yeah! Woo!
Hey, how are you, Chris?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Great. Hey, meet my partner, Chris. He's in the back as well. But
Hi.
He's Chris with a K.
Okay, cool. And what's your name?
I'm Bruce.
Bruce and Chris. Cool. Nice to meet you guys.
It's my show. I just allow them along for the ride.
Excellent.
Now, if you believe that, anyway, how are you holding up in all this nonsense out there?
Yeah, strange, isn't it, really? What a time to be putting out an album when the world is committed to being at home full time. It's a strange environment, definitely.
Yeah. How do you go out and promote a black metal album when you can't tour?
Who knows what we're going to try.
You're kind of writing the script from start here because I think everybody's thinking the same thing, right?
A little bit. I guess it's an interesting question, and we've been asked it quite a few times. You know, how do you promote it? And the answer is, I don't know, but I think it's the responsibility of musicians, I guess, to give people hope in these strange times. And I think I would much rather have some new music from us that I've got time to sit down and listen to when I'm stuck at home not working than, if it came out in the normal world, I guess, and you have to listen to it on the way to work, or you maybe don't have as much time to spend with it. So obviously lots of bands have been kind of cancelling the release of their albums and putting it back to later in the year or next year, and maybe that'll serve them well. I don't know, but it's an interesting time to be defined for having an album out. So it's either going to make it super memorable and everyone's going to be into it, or it's going to get lost because people are too busy worrying about other things. So we'll see.
You guys could be the trendsetters here.
I don't think I've ever seen us as trendsetters, but maybe we are. Let's see what happens.
I think it's a good time, though. I mean, for me, I think it would be a good time because people at home, especially with black metal, there's a deep connection to meaning and to the lyrics and that kind of thing. And I think maybe it might work because people are home and can connect with it, right? More so than like a pop record or like a hard rock record.
Yeah, I hope so. And I guess because people have got the time to spend with it, maybe they'll find themselves looking into some of the meanings behind some of it, or kind of reading around some of the subjects that it talks about. And I think that's why I always like this kind of music, because it creates atmosphere and emotion that other music doesn't do in the same way, for me at least. And obviously it's always got some kind of interesting history or story behind it. It's not just like Hail Satan, yay for beer. It's kind of
right.
It's there's very much kind of more to it. Hopefully anyway, if you do it right. So yeah, I mean, lots of people want to connect with this stuff, I think, and I just hope it kind of brings some hope and brings some enjoyment to people who are stuck maybe in a small flat with no garden, or who can't get out to nature, and it gives them a break for a while. But who knows? Let's see. But I feel like we're being brave enough to sort of risk it. So let's hope it works.
I applaud you for that. I think it's great to just go ahead and forge ahead and release it, because I really think I know I said it and it's kind of a weird thing, but I think maybe it will be trendsetters and maybe it will connect with people at a deeper level.
How much Netflix can people watch before they just want to listen to some metal?
Fuck Carol Baskins.
Fuck Carol Baskins.
I mean, I think I've probably watched all of it, maybe as you guys have already. So I've kind of completed it now. So
yeah, 2020, right. The year people finished the internet.
I'm pretty sure that most people have completed Netflix by now. So
yeah, now you're under the Biebs now you're under the BBC archives.
Oh God, that's a whole other state of affairs.
I'm David Attenborough.
Are you guys doing anything different to connect with your fans during this? Like, you doing any kind of live streaming or Instagram stuff or anything like that?
Yeah, we're trying to. It's a strange thing, I think, for a black metal band to kind of do that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's just me, but I find that black metal sort of relies on there being that kind of atmosphere and mystique to it. And when you humanize it by kind of putting the person in front of it and it just being some kind of normal guy playing guitar or whatever, then I don't know if that kind of has a good or a bad impact. But I mean, yes, we have been sort of trying to do that stuff and trying to create a bit of interesting content for people to engage with. So
how could you do, like, are you doing that with like an acoustic guitar and screaming, or like, how would that work?
I don't know really. Well, we've been doing.
Might be a trend-setting thing,
if you decide to do that, do it on the show here first.
I'm not sure that you might lose listeners if that's the case. But
from 3 to 2.
Oh well, yeah, it's okay. I guess the point is that we've done a few interesting things. So we put out some, kind of things on Instagram and some of the social pages, just sort of saying, are people interested in learning some of our songs, or do they kind of have any questions that they want to ask? And we'll try and answer those. So I've done a video that's coming out maybe later next week, which is like about technique and how we play the guitar and how we write songs and things. And then I've done one of those playthrough videos, where it shows people how to play all the guitar parts to our most listened to track. So we've done some stuff like that. We've obviously got kind of the press stuff coming up. So we did there's a new lyric video came out for our new song yesterday and this morning in the UK. And then I guess we've just been trying to do the interviews and press and get around and make sure that people are aware of it. So I'm not sure what else you can do really. Like, we can't get out and make a cool music video with explosions or anything. So we have to kind of do what we've got, which is, I guess, sort of self-filmed, phone footage essentially. So,
but in the end, that kind of ties into the whole black metal thing too, right? The lo-fi sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe. Although I don't know if we've ever been huge proponents of being lo-fi. We've always
not your music though. I know I think that's the mindset though, right? When originally it was like lo-fi kind of stuff, and I didn't mean it yours, because actually, if you listen to this when we started, Chris was just talking about how well produced the album was.
Yeah, I'm a recording engineer, and usually when I get like a black metal recording, it's just like not very well done. To just being honest, But your recording was like, I was like, holy shit, this sounds like slick. It sounds good.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, it's a strange thing, isn't it? Because I do, obviously lots of people do like that side of black metal, that kind of minimalist, kind of trying to find the melody in it, kind of having to search for the feeling in it through the wall of lo-fi-ness. But I guess, we're a band that started in 2007 or 2006 maybe, and we came 20, 30 years after some of that early black metal started. So for us, I think we wanted to try and focus more on the kind of the idea of some of the, of our own country's history and of it being, creating atmosphere in different ways. And I think we never wanted a kind of poor production on that. So we always wanted it to be kind of quite grand and epic and atmospheric and evocative. And I think you can achieve certain things with lo-fi, but not always the kind of grandness that I would like people to take from the Winterfylleth albums.
Winterfylleth. See, I told you, Chris. We were debating on how to pronounce it correctly, and I was right again, as usual.
Yeah, well, it's your show, so,
Yeah, it's Winterfylleth.
Winterfylleth.
Like winter, Phil, the guy's name, and then F.
That's beautiful.
It's Phil's winter. But sorry, I don't know why I just did that. That was fucking rude. But
Your accent?
I'm starting to become, I'm just becoming one of those assholes. But anyways,
Well,
we like to have fun. So, so you said you guys are doing a video, or maybe thinking about doing a video from home with like phone footage.
Yeah, I've done a few actually, and they're coming out next week. So I did one, as I say, where I was talking about technique and about answering a few people's questions and talking about how we play the guitar and talking about how we write songs and lots of people have said, "Oh, I've tried to learn your song, but I don't know how to do it." So I think it's kind of been talking about how we tune and what kind of strings we use and how we kind of form chords and things. So I'm hoping that's more interesting than just watching, me play through a song, which I've also done as well. But
now, are you doing this? Are you doing this live, or are you pre-recording and uploading?
No, it's pre-recorded and uploaded. Yeah, but
okay. I have a question. I have a technical question for you.
Okay, sure, go.
So cell phone footage is variable frame rate, so there's always sync issues when you throw it into an editor. So how are you dealing with that?
Well, Simon, who's the drummer of Winterfylleth, is also a video editor and does like kind of self-shooting producer as well. So he does lots of video stuff. So with the playthrough videos, I did play along with the song to a click track, and then he's just sort of dubbed the kind of the finished track over the top of the song. So I'm playing in time with it, even though it's not having the guitar I'm playing in the room played along with it. It's just so that everything I'm doing is in time with the actual song. So if you play to a click, obviously it's easy to kind of line the sound up and line the videos up. So, but if we
never mind. It's okay. Keep going.
I was just gonna say that's kind of how we did it, because I think ideally in a maybe more controlled environment, you could set your amps up properly and you could kind of do it in the studio and have it sound great and play along with the natural sound of you doing it. But when you're at home on a phone, when you start playing heavy distorted instruments, as I'm sure you know from all the bloody shit camera footage that people have on gigs, it clips immediately, doesn't it? And it like kind of compresses and stuff, and it just sounds like it's kind of funneling down some kind of metal tube or something. So
I often wonder when a phone company is going to be like, maybe we should put a pad on these microphones.
That would be great.
Well, it would be great for the fans, maybe not for the band, because now everyone has a good sounding version of them live.
Right. Oh, that's true too.
Or at least they can't hide behind the fact that, that phone footage always sounds bad. That's not really how it sounds.
Yeah. Right. I didn't fuck up like that. It's distorted.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay. What kind of strings are you using? Just so I know. And how are you tuning?
So we play, we have custom guitars. So we play this brand of guitars called Caparison.
Yeah.
They're Japanese handmade guitars, although they're owned by this guy called, what's his name? Well, a guy from Wales who we've met quite a few times, and he's a really nice guy. And he had the engineer, Itaru, that's his name. This guy Itaru makes the guitars, and he sort of took on what I said to him when we talked about how we play and everything, and he came up with the sort of set of strings that works for us. So we use these set of strings called EXL 157, which are this D'Addario set of strings.
Yeah.
So they are baritone kind of medium gauge ones. So they go from 68 down to 14.
Oh wow. Heavy.
So they are heavy, yeah. But we also don't play in sort of standard tuning. We play in like B or drop A.
Oh wow.
So that's which is why I did that technique video, because lots of people, whenever you sort of see them try to work out our songs, they're kind of using E-tuned guitars, and they're sort of working their way through that, and only kind of half get it right because they're missing all the root notes and they're not got the right tuning. So yeah, that's kind of a quirk of how we play, which I guess is a hangover from playing in slower doom metal bands, before we started Winterfylleth.
Right.
Nice. Okay. I'm always interested because I just took my guitars down to C standard, and I had to order like the DR drop strings because I can't get the saddles back far enough for intonation. So I needed that extra tension to kind of make it work.
Yeah, it's hard unless you have it done properly. I mean, and with the I've got two of their models, and the one that I use in the videos, if you get a chance to watch them at whatever point, is this one called the M3B, and that's got a through neck. So it was a lot easier to do it on that one than on the bolt-on neck one, which is the other one that I've got. But obviously, when the guy that makes them is doing it, then they can kind of build it in at the beginning, which I think is a good thing. Because when you're kind of having to sort of retrofit it and go backwards with it, it can be quite difficult, can't it? Because it's never meant to be that low to start with.
Yeah, the string length has to be a certain distance for intonation, so you kind of have to set it up that way.
Mm.
But hey, so just so you know, you've probably lost the 3 listeners we have with this.
Sorry, fuck. I'm such a tech guy. I'm always tech this, tech that.
Everybody has tuned out now.
Sorry. Let's get back to talking about Winterfylleth.
No, let's get back to Chris. You seem to have a good sense of humor.
Well, I hope so. I think we invented humor in the British Isles, didn't we?
Okay, well, let's see. So I've got a couple questions for you that have nothing to do with the band, really have nothing to do with anything, but they turn out to be quite fun sometimes. And seems how we're in this weird sort of time anyway, people could use a good laugh. So if you don't mind, I'm going to hit you with some ridiculous questions. By the way, if you like them, I wrote them. If you hate them, Chris wrote them.
Okay, let's try. Go on.
All right, so here's the age-old question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Why or why not?
I don't think so.
Why?
You can't just leave it there. You got to give me a why or why not.
It just doesn't feel right to me to be a sandwich.
All right.
And interesting, if you're a fan of British comedy, then in our band we don't refer to them as sandwiches either, but rather we refer to them as Geralds.
Geralds.
All right.
Why?
So there is
let me
deep
rephrase the
context to
question
that.
then. Is the hot dog a Gerald?
Absolutely not. In no way is the hot
there you
dog a
go.
Gerald.
That just sounds filthy.
Well, there is context to that, but it's I don't know how familiar you guys are with the TV show Blackadder.
Never.
All right. Well, it's a famous kind of period British history that features like Stephen Fry and Rowan Atkinson and lots of those kind of famous comedians, and the main character Blackadder, which is played by Rowan Atkinson, he's talking to this guy Baldrick, who's kind of his sort of his Dunsey kind of assistant, and he sort of says, Baldrick, just go and fix me something quick and easy and simple for dinner. 2 slices of bread with something in between them. And he's like, what, like Gerald Lord sandwich had the other day, my lord? He's like, yes, we'll have a couple of rounds of Gerald's. So henceforth, they, rather than them being named after Lord Sandwich, they named her after his first name.
Nice.
Okay.
So
I got one. No, I got one here. So my wife and I fight about this all the time. I love Monty Python. She says even the British hate Monty Python. Can you solve this argument?
I don't think the British hate Monty Python at all. I think there's rather a collective warmth for it. I think the younger generation, like I'm sat here as some 50 or 60-year-old or something, but I think younger people will probably not appreciate it as much. I think there's a certain type of comedy from that period of time, a kind of almost an abstract silliness that kind of humor has. But you can't argue with films like The Life of Brian or or some of those things. And I think people like Eric Idle and like John Cleese, they're super formative for comedy, really, and I think they've given a lot to the world. So no, I think we generally speaking like it, although it is shown too much. So I guess it can become a bit overwhelming.
Thank you. It's going to be the first time in my life where I can tell my wife she's wrong.
I grew up watching a show called The Goodies. Do you remember that?
The Goodies, bloody hell, yeah. But that I think that's even like a little bit too old for me. I think that was more like it's not like a 70s show or an early 80s.
I was watching it in the early 80s, so that's probably about right. Yeah.
Yeah, early 80s. Yeah, that was a kids show, wasn't it? Yeah, I do remember that.
It was a kids show. You're bringing up kids show on a black metal podcast. Really? What's next? Sesame Street.
All right.
Gotta get to Sesame Street. Come on.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because there are some kind of classic British TV series that were essentially kind of aimed at like young adults or children's television that actually quite into the mysticism. There's a show in the 70s called Children of the Stones, which we wrote a song about, which is totally kind of almost of the kind of Wicker Man levels of kind of folklore. And then there's obviously like Robin of Sherwood and all those kind of things that were done as well in the early days before the BBC started making rubbish TV. But yeah, there's some cool stuff out there.
Okay, I got a question for you. Now we'll get back to humor.
Okay,
is tomato soup really just ketchup water?
Is it really ketchup water? I don't know. but I tell you what I do know. I once met a really boring man when I was stood on a train platform who just started speaking to me as opposed to speaking with me, and he was really keen to tell me that the reason why it's that color is because of the reaction that it has with the tin can and not actually with it starting off that color.
Wow, that's a conspiracy theory right there.
Oh my God.
Who knows? But I think that's a much deeper level on this than just it being ketchup water.
Oh man!
Hey, cereal is soup.
I think tomato soup is now a conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah, I think so. If not, we just started one.
I think it's the 5G frequencies interacting with the can that turn it red.
Definitely.
All right,
they microchip the soup.
Where are you on cereal? You think cereal is a soup?
No, it is. I don't know, because it's not. It's got solids in it.
Yeah, but you can have like chicken noodle soup, and it's got chicken and solids in it, right?
I suppose so. Yeah, I guess. I don't think I'd ever really considered it, to be honest.
Is it a cream soup? Is that what you're asking?
I mean, if you leave some of it long enough, it does become formless. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Jesus, I'm sorry about all this. We just like to have a little fun.
Obviously, this is all really, really, helping us to promote how great our new atmospheric album is. But it's all right. It's fine. Soup and cereal is good.
No, I don't know if your publicist warned you about us. Did they not?
He did not, but it's okay. It's funny because when you sort of, I guess, think of black metal and think of people in it, you don't necessarily associate them with having a sense of humor. And I think that you kind of have to realize that people involved in these projects, generally speaking, are normal in some way, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know, outside of being in the band, you are a person that interacts with the world, I guess, aren't you? So you have to be able to at least laugh at yourself to some extent.
So, and I hope you don't think we're too fucked up, but we just like to have a little fun and play around. And
it's great.
This podcast we predicate by saying a casual conversation with, and it's about fans getting to know the band instead of us asking like, how did you get your name? What's the first single about? Yeah. It's like, let's just have some fun. It's the Seinfeld of metal podcasts.
Excellent.
So, if fans want to find your music, are you pretty active social media wise?
Yes, I think as much as we kind of have to be. It's a strange thing, isn't it? If you to think about being in a black or death metal band, when those genres started, I think they would kind of be almost appalled by the idea of social media, perhaps. But unfortunately, like people's lives change, and the way that people interact with music has changed. For the worse, probably, but in many ways, it has changed, and so you kind of have to fish where the fish are, I guess, don't you? And come to people where they are, or else you just will end up in obscurity, I think.
Right. That makes
sense.
Yeah,
we are kind of as active as I guess we have to be. We have an Instagram page and a Facebook page like everybody else.
I'm going to remember that saying. You have to fish where the fish are.
That was pretty good.
That's like one of those like prophetic statements. I have to remember that.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, I am a noted thinker, so it's
Jesus. Well, that's all I've got. Chris, I don't know what you got left.
But that statement is just so prophetic.
Brilliant.
Think about it. Like, it just makes so much sense. You're like, well, of course. But how many people fish where there aren't fish?
Lots of people.
Many.
And I guess it it does speak to the sort of how easy it is for people to kind of produce and release music in the modern world as well. When we were growing up, when an album came out, that like someone had spent loads of money on it, and that they had to demo it somehow, and it had to go into a studio to be made, probably on tape. And now, when everyone can just kind of do it on their home computers, I think it is really hard for younger bands to, well, even ourselves sometimes, to kind of stick our head above the water, because there's just so many new albums coming out every week, and so many new projects springing up all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's obviously it's a testament to the creativity of humanity, I suppose. But equally, if you're into a specific genre of music, it can be really hard to find the gems, that are coming out. And I think you can really get lost in that. So, I personally, with that in mind, I've always been a fan of kind of trying to take the bands that we really love out on the road with us, or certainly to kind of help them kind of get their name out in some way, because otherwise you just end up lost in a sea of 700 releases that week, Yep,
I 100% agree.
Well, that's the beauty of the internet, is that everyone can release a record, but the downside is everybody can release a record.
Right.
Yeah.
Some records should never have been made,
Maybe this new one of ours.
No way. We were just slamming it before you came on. So, and the reason we cheered when you answered the phone is because Bruce doesn't know technology very well. So he always screws up calling people, and sometimes we're like 20 minutes late, or sometimes he forgets to call him. He calls the wrong person. Last week, Bruce called the wrong person 4 times, saying, "Where the hell are you? We're supposed to be doing it." And they're like, "We're not scheduled until 1.
Whoops.
And Bruce is like, "Oh no, I'm calling the wrong person." And the other guy's messaging Bruce, "When are you going to call me?"
Excellent. Well, it's nice to know that you're organized and well considered, chaps.
Yeah, very organized here. Yeah. And we do our research. We talk about soup and sandwiches and Gerald's, and we're good.
Yeah. And
I feel like it's been an important thing. We've been able to bring the concept of the Gerald to you. So maybe you can confuse other listeners with that as well.
That's going to come up on the next one. Yeah.
I'm telling my wife tonight we're having a Gerald for dinner.
Well, Chris,
I don't have anything else, but please message us if you decide to do the acoustic black metal. I want to see that.
Yeah, you can do that.
I think there's already been some dreadful attempts at doing that by a few bands, so maybe we'll leave it to them. But well, hopefully, people like what we have made and get into that.
Oh yeah. So where can people go find your record? Sorry, we should do that.
So it's on all the usual places, I guess. The majority of streaming services. You can buy it from the label or from independents, or you can buy it from our own band store. So Big Cartel or Bandcamp. Everywhere, hopefully. If you're a fan of music, I'm hoping you know where to buy it from. So it's on one of those usual places. So I guess encourage people to go check it out and let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.
You
Good
too.
luck with the record, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers. Appreciate it. See you later.
Bye.